Greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. The United Nations has designated March 15th as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. At ING, we found that it's important to counter Islamophobia alongside other forms of bigotry and racism because they're interdependent and have a shared history.
My name is Samantha Brown, and I'm here as a representative of the Black community. One thing that I think is similar about anti-Black racism and Islamophobia is that it is dehumanizing, and it seeks to rob us of the existence of Black folks and Muslim folks as our friends, as part of our families and communities, and in our futures. It takes away from us personally, right, the hope that we can exist and be our greatest in a just and inclusive world.
I'm a Jewish American and proud to be a speaker on ING's Interfaith Speakers Bureau. Some of the root causes of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are similar. Both hatreds have ethnic and religious components to them. Jews and Muslims are seen as other, as threatening, as foreign. Our holy books and writings are willfully misinterpreted to paint the religions as hateful or opposed to Western values. When our democratic institutions are fraying, hate against marginalized communities like Islamophobia and anti-Semitism result.
My name is Luis Felipe Camacho Lobo. I am Mexican and Jewish American and also identify as Latino or Latinx. Muslim and Latino communities in the US, as well as all the communities and people that exist at the intersection of both, who are both Muslim and Latino or Latinx, have historically been subjects of this common prejudice narrative rooted in white supremacy that paints them and us as forever outsiders and intrinsic and ideological conduits for this nebulous un-Americanness. And as a result, many people in both communities have been heavily targeted and victimized and devastated by the militarization of police and borders on US soil or claimed US soil, as well as expanded military and corporate belligerence worldwide. These similarities are one aspect of the things that our cultures and communities share, but they're only one small part of a much bigger set of similarities between our two cultures.
Islamophobia is related to bigotry in my community and has led to oppression in my community in numerous ways. As we look at some of the voices that stand out in terms of our history and in terms of our current day, we have Malcolm X. Mr. Shabazz was an outstanding leader who led against bigotry and he lifted up equity, but he was so much more, and we often lose sight of the fact that he expanded the voice of Islam and the Muslim community in Detroit and New York specifically, as well as build community power to make sure that folks were engaged. And then we also look at our current Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar, who is in a unique space in Middle America and has still built power. And she's also a refugee who has stood up in that space. And as we look at the number of African Americans who are part of the Islamic community, we have over 25% in America who are part of the community. And so we have always had an ongoing relationship.
Hello, I'm Daisy Kim, a member of the Asian American community. Islamophobia and the bigotry against Asian American community runs many parallels, as they're both seen as geopolitical, racial, and social threats against the United States and the West. So it started off with looking at Orientalism, actually of, the Middle East and India, and then of course Asia. We've always been grouped together as this very large embodiment of everything else that the West is not. So from those historical roots and from those theoretical perspectives, you can only examine and expect all the different similar struggles and racial profiling that we as two different groups may have faced similarly. And as the rise against hate crimes against Asian Americans continue throughout the COVID pandemic, I feel that both the Islamic community that faced a large rise in hate crimes after 9/11, that we can only find more common ground and figure out ways to work together.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Amy Eilberg. I'm Jewish, I'm a conservative rabbi. Islamophobia and anti-Semitism are two sides of the same coin. I believe strongly that all hatred and othering have common roots. Those who hate one oppressed group generally hate other oppressed groups as well. That's why it's so important to me to communicate to people that only the purveyors of hate benefit when targeted groups separate from one another. Ultimately, we will all be safe when we work together to secure the safety and dignity of all people.
My name is Shannon Rivers. I am Akamid Otham from the Gila River Indian Reservation in Arizona. Some of the concerns that our Muslim American brothers and sisters have regarding Islamophobia. As Indigenous peoples, we can relate. We are marginalized throughout policy and politics, and we remain isolated in many senses. So we understand the struggles that our Muslim American brothers and sisters have when it comes to expressing themselves and them too saying, I am an American, I do love this country, this is our land, and we welcome them wholeheartedly, and we welcome them to our communities, and we stand in solidarity with them.
We are grateful to our allies and colleagues at ING for standing with us in solidarity against Islamophobia and all forms of bigotry. To learn more about how Islamophobia is related to other forms of bigotry, its history and manifestations, and what we can do to counter it, visit www.ing.org/programs.